We are paid, that's all. We are God.
Hey guys! Here is part 4 of What If Naruto was the reincarnation of Link, hero of Twilight. Centuries ago, Link saved the world from Ganondorf. But now, Link's reincarnation will do the same task. Watch as he now struggles to become a hero guided by the Triforce. And of course, he has Midna by his side to help him. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 14. Naruto collapsed on the couch, not even caring about his house guests, which would be Kurenai's team, Asuma's team, Kin, Temari who had returned from Suna, Guy's team, and a reluctant Sakura. Naruto, are you alright? Pain. Sanosuke walked in, and booted Naruto off the couch. Come on kid. This is the same training my old man put me through and onto Shinji when he was a Kenjutsu specialist. Don't slack off. Naruto cursed and headed out the door to perform more laps, while Sanosuke followed, making sure Naruto was doing his exercises. It was confirmed by Malik that Sanosuke had permission to train another ninja, which Tsunade reluctantly gave her permission as well. Not highly known about, but there was a rumor about Tsunade once meeting Malik's wife some years ago back when she was still a genin. But anyway, one would find a humorous, if you did of course, scene of the blonde former Jinchuriki, who was down to but a pair of green shorts, running for his life while the foreign cane ninja, named Taosu Sanosuke, would wave his halberd, yelling at Naruto that if he doesn't speed up he'll get nicked by the blade. Some would call this an attack and Anbu would call it assault and would attack the cane nin. The truth, it's training for Naruto. Blackjack looked off to the side, and the people he was playing against, all smirked as the dealer shuffled the cards silently. Hope Sanosuke takes it careful with the halberd. He taps the table, and the dealer sets out a card for Blackjack, as calls were made, or folds were dealt in. Blackjack grabs the card, shifts it into his hand, and then lay the cards out. He's won again, and everyone was swearing as the man with black and white hair calmly leaves the open pub with 5 men's paychecks up to a month's pay. So, how do we win our money back? One of the idiots questioned. Said idiot gets smacked upside the head. Good, now, tomorrow, we're going to start on the technique practice. Oh, and bring that giant sword of yours, it's the only sword you'll need to use tomorrow. And Sanosuke left Naruto as he heads to his rented room, and closes the door, leaving Naruto's face planted down into the couch, not moving. Is he dead? Tenten smacked Kiba's hand when he poked him in the face with a stick. Stop that, she hissed. In the kitchen, Ayam, the ramen girl as Naruto nicknamed her, was cooking up some miso ramen, before having the bowl sealed up. She headed out, and looked at the other genin. What she was doing at Naruto's home was that she missed the blonde blue-eyed Bao, and wanted to see him. Perfect excuse, as she already saw him as a little brother. I know what will wake him up. Trust me. She unseals the paper lid. Naruto's eyes snap open and he bolts straight up off the couch. Everyone around him had leapt back, staring wide-eyed at him, as Naruto's sharp eyes slowly relaxed, sniffs the air, and then turns to Ayam who had the bowl of hot miso ramen. He snatches it and begins to eat calmly. The rest of the rookie 9, Teen Guy, Kin, Temari, and Midna slowly relax, and in this case, returns Lee back to his youthful position. Midna floated over to the blonde, once he was finished with the ramen bowl, and with her hair grabs the bowl and chucks it into the kitchen sink sailing past Ayam. How it remained intact when colliding with the ceramic sink was anybody's guess. Of course, what caused Hinata, Tenten, Kin, and Temari to instantly gain dark looks was Midna cuddles up in Naruto's embrace, sitting in his lap in a suggestive way. You okay? Exhausted yes, but the ramen helped a bit. Thanks Ayam Nichan. Ayam smiled. No problem Naruto-kun. She sweat-dropped as Naruto collapsed in the couch again, this time snoring lightly. I'm going to head home, bye everyone, and come by Ichiraku's if you feel like it. A friend of Naruto's is always welcomed at the booth. With her departure, the others soon leave as well, except the girls who had lived at the apartment complex still. And Naruto, he's still asleep. And Midna, she's enjoying her sleep tonight. Now Naruto, it's only 2 more days so we have to keep working. You got everything down to a near T, just your strength needs to be built a bit more so you can wield it with flawlessness. Thankfully, you do have another copy of that outfit of yours for weight inserts. Naruto was wearing the weighted hero's clothes today, in the midday. He was also wielding the Kubikiri Hocho. Sitting under a tree off a wooden bench bought for the outdoor garden, was Blackjack, finding a form of entertainment in this. Never thought I'd see Sanosuke pass this trade off. Normally he would never do such a thing. Blackjack remembered the day after Sanosuke made Naruto run around his entire village, that he watched the man train, and finished his training with Kenjutsu, Hazakikinen, Climazard. Naruto wanted to try it out, and managed to do an emulated form of it, just not enough strength to do the upward slash of the Hazakikinen. Again, Naruto swore, and performed the same technique that Sanosuke performed, leaping up into the air. Unlike the vertical leap that Sanosuke uses, Naruto implemented a spiral motion, and then smashing the blade towards the ground as if chopping down a tree stump cleanly in half. This time, only a bit of chakra rushed upward, but it was more or less a ripple effect. You got it right, however, focus more chakra into the attack, Naruto. And Naruto listened. He wouldn't quit until he had learned this new skill. At least there would be a good D-rank mission for some unfortunate genin team to repair his garden. A downed airship off the coastline of Cha no Kuni. Airships were not that common in the eastern continent, and the only airship known was in Yuki no Kuni. No, most airships, if any, were more common in the west. It had been 3 weeks since the two Kanins left Konoha to return to the west. 3 weeks since Naruto had to an extent mastered another hidden skill. Yes. Reports state that demons attacked the airship, and made off with stolen goods of refined or metal. However, most of these demons vanished in swirls of tiny black squares. Team Kakashi, with Kin as Sasuke's replacement, all tensed up. Tsunade nodded, which is why I called for you. You will also be joined by Kurenai's team. Since it's not much of a secret between all of us and involving Midna, I would like for you all to investigate. Naruto, don't do anything foolish, alright? Sure, Bachan. He was used to the disrespecting names to Tsunade, but it was in truth their form of family affection. The punch to the head was done by Sakura, of course. Airship Valhalla. It was an airship that came from Nikikoku no Kuni, Red Canyon country, and upon arrival in 1 week, they could clearly see the airship, its remaining wreckage, floating there in the ocean like some sort of mechanical island. It was unnaturally creepy, especially since it gotten cloudy, to the point that thunderstorms were a possibility. Return back home, Epona, I'll be fine. Epona whinnies softly, but then turns around and soon she disappears, galloping her way back home. Is she going to be alright, Naruto? Kakashi questions his student. Yes, she will be. Not only were there dark clouds in the sky, a haunted chill in the air, and Kami knows what that may be lurking within the wrecked airship, but there were also giant coconuts entangled with thick roots around the coconut. It had large leaves that were spinning wildly like some sort of fan propeller, and flying in irregular patterns. Those things look weird, said Kiba. Who here knows how to use the water walking technique? Kurenai speaks up to the genin. All but Naruto raise their hands. Naruto, you see those flying plants, right? Midna asks the boy, who was looking at the things. Yeah, what about them? They existed in the far past as well, don't really know what to call them, but back then, they were useful to getting around places in high areas with Link's claw shots. Use your chakra grapple. Naruto. Kakashi called out, but he and the others saw the Twilight Princess vanish back into Naruto's shadow, while the boy himself was using one of his unique items. The chakra beam shot out, and manages a good grapple on one of the floating plants, before Naruto swings, and times his jumps as he soon crosses the ocean water, going to the downed airship. The silver-haired Jounin cursed under his breath and ran after Naruto via the water walk. Kurenai quickly instructed the others to follow, and they did, with albeit some difficulty. Naruto made it first as he releases the whip and lands on a floating piece of thick steel that buckled a bit from the sudden jolts of movement, but stilled again. Kakashi caught up and grabbed him by the collar. Naruto, don't do anything that reckless again, okay? What if they were planted there by the enemy? Midna told me they could be of use for my grapple, Naruto argued back, forcing Kakashi to let go. Everyone else had caught up, but Naruto jumped across the wrecked paneling of ship walls and towards the entrance, which was a large gash into the side, as a clap of thunder roared across the darkened clouds. A/N, listening to aboard the GFS Valhalla and the Valhalla's depths does well for background music. The entire vessel groaned ominously, shuddering lightly as in the distance, falling debris dislodged and struck solid surfaces, or water due to minor splashes that echoed. There was a chain and a hook nearby, and across from the entrance of the wide hallway was a hole. There was still electricity buzzing through, but with many broken electronics, sparks danced about through broken cable wire. They all knew that electricity and water doesn't mix well. Naruto takes out the chakra grapple again. Something tells me much of the areas will force us on foot. He then takes a leap as the beam is extended out. Naruto grapples the hook and is swinging on the chain and hook. Kakashi then realized what Naruto was doing as he stuck his hand out for someone to grab. He jumped, and Naruto grunted as he held the heavier man before managing to swing to the other side where Kakashi leaps off. Naruto swung the others across, before the strain nearly made him lose grip. He gave out too exhausting after swinging Hinata over and lost his grip. Thanks to Midna however, and her ability to magic her ponytail, she caught him and with little effort brought the boy with the others on solid ground. As they turned the corner, they saw the hallway ended to an open cabin with its room nearly torn. A large shadow had just then crossed the bit of light from the outside. In fact, two shadows. Shino's bugs buzzed with worry, and Akamaru whimpered a bit. Kin and Hinata stayed close to Naruto who had instantly drawn the master sword. Kakashi and Kurenai tensed up, as the silver-haired man was considering revealing his Sharingan. Hinata-chan, you're Byakugan. She nodded, and activated her bloodline, as little clusters of veins formed around her eyes. She scanned around their immediate area. Other than some fish swimming around having gotten in form outside, and some birds that have taken refuge in some of the areas, she couldn't find these two shadows that had seen nothing. Wait. I see something. It looks like a trunk or something. Like some sort of pirate treasure chest. Where? In the next room to our left, but the floor is missing. There's a shark in the water though, a great white shark, with glowing red eyes. Damn, Naruto cursed. On he went, with Midna following intently. Kakashi and Kurenai led the back while the others followed the green-clad swordsman ninja. Suddenly a flock of crows flew through the area, squawking their annoying cries. Of course they did not attack, but merely flew from one area to another somewhere on this creepy vessel. And upon reaching the turn, there indeed the missing floor. The water appeared to be electrified due to the broken live wires spilling into this part of the water. The shark swam quietly, not bothered by the electrical buzz, but this great white had what looked like 4 kunai in a diamond mark on its head, glowing with reddish-orange lines in odd patterns. Up ahead was the treasure chest Hinata talked about. And to make things worse, the walls had the iron ripped out, and sparks flew from ripped or damaged cables. Naruto looked around, and saw chains that fell loose, or some that were still bolted to the ceiling. He uses the grapple to lasso himself up to the ceiling, before grabbing hold of the chains. Slowly, he began to inch farther away from the shinobi team, and steadily over the water where below, one slip and he could possibly die. The sound of shrieks echoed, and in came 2 bats, or what Midna called them, keys. Naruto held tight before striking both of the bats with the beam of the chakra grapple. They flew down to the water where the shark came upon the 2 tiny snacks with bloodlust. The chain unfortunately gave out, but he saved himself by grappling another nearby bolted chain, while the first one fell into the water and sunk into its depths. He soon made it to the other side, where the chains had fallen as well. Now he had no way of getting back. Naruto's stuck on the other side. Great, Kakashi groaned. Now they had to think of a way to help the boy, without getting themselves electrocuted or devoured by a shark that looks like it's under a cursed seal or something along the lines. Naruto found that a lock was on this thing, so Naruto gabbled a senbon, fiddled with the lock, until he heard a click. He had picked the lock, though it is a bust rusty, kicked it off, and took out the items that were within the chest. Naruto obtained double claw shots, and someone's stash of Ryo. Unlike the Hyrule standard, these claw shots were made by Nikikoku standards, and whoever owned this Ryo now belongs to Naruto. The 4-clawed metal hand was folded up into a spike formation. The devices looked bulky, and reminded Naruto of Chuji's forearms whenever he used his family jutsus to enlarge the muscle. Naruto slips on the 2 mechanical devices, before grasping the palm handle within, his index finger pressing on the trigger he felt. The sounds of the claw shots extending open, and then twisting into a ready state was heard across the inner chasm. Naruto had his thumb against the firing trigger inside the devices as he took aim at the wall, where a mass of chains were, and released the claw. It flew across the air, the chain extending from the outer chamber holding the reinforced small chains, before it grasped the mass of chains. And with a swift yank, he's pulled off his feet and flying clear across the air until he stopped at his position. He was giving it a test, and found another trigger set, which allowed him to lower himself, or bring himself to a higher height. Once he got low enough, he fires the other claw shot, and it strikes a panel of mesh wiring. He flies over, and lands against the wall, now back with the others. He disengages the claw shots, takes them off now on his feet again, and packs them away into a small scroll which he slips into his inventory pack. Midna forms beside him. Well, this is very interesting. I never would have thought to see these again. What do you mean, Midna-chan? Naruto questioned. Link. He found a claw shot within the lakebed temple a long time ago, after he had managed to defeat the Deku Toad. The second claw shot he found was high in the skies. Trust me, these things are very useful. Unlike your chakra grapple which can lasso sturdy items for a quick flight in the air, these claw shots can grapple fencings, things that look like you can fasten hooks with. However, the downside is that they're not useful for everywhere travel. You can't grapple solid surfaces because the claws of the item won't have enough piercing force. If it could get a good enough grip, you can grapple things such as animals, like that shark. Don't try it though. Then she smiled that brought a bit of glow into her sunset eyes. Though, they look ninja-fied, much like my helmet. Say, what does your helmet symbolize, anyway? Well, it was really one of the shattered pieces of the fused shadows, a power that no longer exists today. It got used to wearing it the first time around, well. I asked of you to find me one, and you were kind enough to make a replica of it. Futon, Furiuden, Wind Release, Wine Dragon Strike. Everyone ducked out of the way as a dragon made of wind raged through, and drilled a hole into the side, creaking and groaning before a bulge remained, with cracks. Oh, and did I mention the untimely clap of eerie thunder when a dark laugh echoed from all around them? Fool! And just like that, the voice was gone, and that presence of someone nearby disappeared. They were not alone. Something just screams danger here, Midna muttered. The sudden groan of the airship rocking in the slowly churning waves of the raging storm outside punctuated her point. Naruto unsheathed the sword, and went for his shield. Hinata looked at the crack with her bloodline switched on, and frowned. Naruto-kun, there's something behind that wall. I think it leads to the staircase. Naruto grabbed one of his ninoms before flicking the fuse, and throwing the now-lit bomb. It explodes upon collision with the wall, expelling the weakened metal into shrapnel that covered portions of the stairs. All of a sudden several, goblin-like creatures emerged, all wielding crudely made cleavers. They were the same creatures that Kakashi remembered from the castle incident, in their mission to rescue Naruto when he was captured by that Kyumo Dark Nut person. Naruto however had already rushed in attacking with the Master Sword. Then they surrounded him, he let out a yell as he spun around, releasing a wave of energy from the sword. They all fell, and to their surprise but Midna's, exploded into coal black dust and burning embers which quickly vanished. Great, it would seem he's managed to bring back only a few creatures of the Dark Army, this will be troublesome, Midna said. And then, out came a spider from the hole in the staircase hallway. It was one of the large native spiders of Kusa, only now this spider looked hungry, and pounded at Naruto. He however launched a needle bomb, and it screeched as it reeled back from the fiery flash. Naruto leapt forward, and stabbed the sword down. Midna blinked twice as the spider gave out one last screech, before it slumped, dead. Naruto backflips away and swung the blade once, releasing the blood that coated it. The spider bled, as Kakashi burned it with a Katan Jutsu. What of this Dark Army about anyway? In the years before, there were the more common creatures that are a bit of an annoyance, but then, whenever evil comes around so does creatures of darkness, those goblins we fought are one of them. And if Lansing can control the grunts of the dark creatures, then it's possible for him to revive Hyrule's more dangerous creatures from the shadows, Naruto realized. Midna nods. Exactly. Which is why we need to split up. Naruto, as a hero, heroes can do well alone, though you do have backup. I suggest Hinata comes with Naruto. And do what? Whatever the mission is to investigate, would do better splitting up. Naruto will do fine on his own, he has me. Hinata's safe because she's also tied with the Triforce business, being marked at birth. Naruto sighed. Midna, what about those two shadows we saw? Not good, if anything, they could be someone sent by the Twilight King. She growled a bit. Kakashi sighed. If you say so. I'll take Kiba and Shino. Only fair Kurenai gets the girls. Agreed, Kurenai says. And so, it was just Naruto and Hinata on what they pegged the second floor of this dungeon-like airship. Midna with them of course, but otherwise, just two humans alone. You would get some ideas on what two teenagers of opposite genders can do, but being in a place where danger lurks, and you have unknown enemies lurking in the airship, something feels off. Naruto stayed close to Hinata. Don't worry. I'll protect you, princess. A bit of a sly smile formed over Naruto's lips, and the Hyuga princess smiled, blushing a bit. They entered into a large expansive room, where they figured was the mess hall. Of course, the place was half submerged and below, they could see a cracked hole that fed into the underwater first floor of the airship, remember, wrecked, and half of it's tipped and submerged completely. They also suspect water life has made a home here as well. There were a few metal tables that have buoyancy, but Hinata did not like the look of the dark murky depths. All of a sudden, the way they came through creaked, and the iron doors slammed down, dislodged from the roof locks. They were trapped. Up ahead, the hallway was blocked by a bunch of debris. The water bubbled, before a large spray erupts, bringing forth the appearance of what looked like some sort of mutant squid crossbred with a jellyfish. However, the tentacles had large fanged teeth against the base of the humanoid hands. There was some sort of beaked mouth, and the nuclei within the semi-clear cocoon of a head pulsed with an eerie orange light. It actually roared at them. The mutant seafood then floated about in the air before lashing at them with the spiked tentacles, the hand tentacles keeping close. The duo dodged. When one of the fanged hands came close, Naruto released the spinning attack, and the thing hissed with pain as it floated away from them. The bulbous brain-like nuclei lit up like a light bulb, before electricity surged down the whips of the fanged hand tentacles fires twin bolts of lightning. The water was now electrified. Damn it, this is going to be hard to do now. Hinata! She dodged an attack that came at her. The mutant seafood monster just continued trying to impale them with its spiked tentacles. This time, Hinata decided to release a new skill she had learned, implemented with fire. Hinata no Hai, Hinata's fire. She spun wildly as burning bright flames encircled her hands before expelling forth like long flowing ribbons. The beats that rushed her screeched with pain as parts of its body caught fire. The thing was screaming as it tried to fly. The fire had knocked it clear out of the air and it had landed on a floating slab of metal. Naruto jumped across table to table, before stabbing the sword into the bulbous head, easily piercing through the fatty flesh. Black blood pooled, spurting forth in gushes with each pulse of power that went through. Then, he implemented his new kenjutsu he learned, and rips the blade in an uppercut motion. It was dead. The gate that locked them in the room creaked and groaned, but then the gate froze. The metal slab was still in the crevice of the door, so basically they were trapped inside. Midna appeared and looked at the mutant seafood, as it turned black, and exploded into embers and smoke. Naruto looked around, as did the chibified imp. HM. Naruto, do you see that door up there? Midna asks, pointing to the door that extended on a small iron patio. Yeah, but I have a feeling my claw shots won't reach that high. Find another way then. And Naruto did. 20 minutes later, both Hinata and Naruto had opened the door, and walked into a hallway which the only light came from behind them. There was the occasional spark of electricity from frayed wires in walls, or from a broken bulb still short-circuiting. I hate this. Hinata then did something incredibly brave, grasping Naruto's hand, tightly. Both hero and princesses knew they had to find the others. There was still the danger of that unknown voice, or the two dark shadows they saw sometime back upon entering this doomed vessel. The trio headed into the unknown. Chapter 15. The door closed shut, and rushing past was a mob of those cleaver-wielding goblins. They weren't bright in the mind. They had managed to get to the other side of the airship, where it was not submerged. They had split up from the guys, whom were going to find their way to the wheelhouse. This mission, which had officially booted up to A rank, to a possible S rank, was still an information gathering/investigation. Now what? These monsters litter this airship. Must have been traps set by that weirdo, Kin muttered. Kakashi and the boys haven't had better luck. They ran into the same mutant seafood monster that Hinata and Naruto encountered in the half-submerged mess hall. Roar! Okay, make that two mutant seafood monsters, however dangerous they looked like. Their one main weakness was fire, which Kakashi discovered when he launched Katon, Housenka no Jutsu. Attacking seafood squid-looking things made Kakashi wish to steer away from sushi if this mission ever ended. What were those things? Never seen a squid like that. And the way they died. Kakashi knew that somehow, the two dark shadows they saw earlier were connected to the sudden strange happenings. With stealth on their part and Shino's bugs released as detector bugs, they found the door which led, not to the wheelhouse, but rather the storage area where most of the ingots of that ore had been previously stored before the supply was stolen. This is the storage facility, I would guess. As the trio headed inside, Shino tensed up. It's a trap. The doors slammed shut and locked, as a dark laugh echoed within the storage room. How very observant, Aburame, said the voice, as his shadow appeared. Suddenly the shadow fired a hook shot, and the three had dodged it, as Kakashi released some shuriken he had on hand. The shadow blocked them with some sort of device on his right forearm, as a clink sound echoed when metal struck metal. Foolish Hataki, you and the others may be second prizes for us, but the true prize I and my partner are after is the heads of the hero and the princess, and Midna as an added bonus. Then he stepped into the light, when he had snapped his fingers, flooding the storage room with power. Although some overhead lights were broken, or few flickered, under the flickering spotlight, Kakashi gasped, "Gozu? I thought you were dead or rotting in prison." The man smiled. Although he looked the same, he now sported Xant's armor that protected the top half of his body, neck, and his headgear was still in place, but now just add fish fins that resembled a Zora, and the mechanical device on his right forearm resembled a mole's paw, just made of sharp metal claws. His eyes, however, glowed the opposite color of what they were. To cover his lower face, the scuba gear was now the lower half of Lansing's mask. Oh, and for his bare arm, it was now larger, thicker, and resembled a small gorilla arm. My name is not Gozu anymore, reborn, I am now Zugo. Meanwhile, Kurenai and the girls had a similar encounter with the other brother. Zugo and Zume looked almost like identical brothers, however Zume, the one Kurenai and the girls encountered, wore his gauntlet on the left arm, and add more shark traits to the top body armor around the shoulders, and headgear with sharp bull horns. Though I am not surprised you have heard of us, possibly from Hataki Kakashi, Zume sneered. Yes, you thought we were captured by Anbu, but he had escaped, and ever since then, we work for the Twilight King, they tell Kurenai/Kakashi, and the hero and princess are heading deeper into our trap beyond the sealed mess hall. And the two vanished in a swirl of twilight. Both parties had to abandon their previous investigation and now race to find Naruto and Hinata before it was too late, though it already was. Meanwhile, in the darkness, Hinata and Naruto held each other's hands tightly. Naruto wielded his sword, but he had lent his shield to Hinata to hold in defense. She stayed close to him, while Naruto kept a protective stance around the girl he cared deeply for. It was very tough navigating the darkness, and already they were suffering from minor attacks such as rabid rats, for a strange thing, and once or twice they had to deal with a hidden sword-wielding fugly goblin creature. Before they could go on any further, they had suddenly fallen down a shaft, screaming as Naruto tried his claw shot, nothing to grapple. They fell and fell until they struck water. They were in the submerged portion of the airship. This was basement floor 1. It would appear this airship's bigger than it looks. Midna speaks up. We need to get out of this water and fast, Naruto said, as began to swim to the metal land island. Hinata followed. Thankfully, Midna was smart enough to zap the sword and shield into her dimensional pocket. The two humans had gotten onto the broken generator hub, which was used like a boat. She said nothing but get a bit of a jealous glare in her eyes as Hinata snuggled up next to Naruto. We're stuck down here, but Midna could bail us out of here, but then that would leave behind our other teammates and senseis. Hinata nodded softly. Say, where did you learn that fire jutsu of yours? Well, it was during your small training regimen with Sanosuke-san when he was in the village. I for protection, high for attack. It was powerful enough, the way you used that technique. That smile of his lit Hinata's face, and also brought comforting warmth inside of her. Hinata, he was cut off by her lips, as she boldly kissed him. Naruto closed his eyes, and moved his arms around her hips, and she pressed herself closer, as the two continued to make out. Naruto-kun, she began to say, once they had parted lips, I never got to thank you, on that day, when Mizuki-team tried to kill me killing you. Naruto raised his eyebrows at the one swear she used. Why was that so arousing to him? Midna paid no attention to them, but she was feeling jealous. Of course she was berating herself that even though Naruto was Link's reincarnation, that boy had a pure heart. He could love one girl, and love another in the same way, that charm of his, so addicting. So far Naruto had kissed her, Kin, and now Hinata. Well, actually, they all in a way made the first move for a kiss from their blonde-haired, green-dressed hero. And Naruto, he would smile that charm of his, and you could clearly see no deception in his cerulean eyes, no, nothing but warmth, comfort, /flashback/. Who was that? Him, he is the one who did this to me, that's the man I told you about. And then the Twilight King descended upon Naruto, and Midna was unable to stop him because she did not have any protection against this light world. /end /. When he attacked the first time, she had saw through Naruto's eyes the Twilight King, the last person he saw before her incarceration. The conversation that came during his unconscious state. /flashback/. He was the one who attacked you. She nodded. Yes, he was. What do you know of him? Well, other than being a Twilight like myself, with the way he appeared and vanished, nothing much. All I know was that he felt so dark, so evil, if only Link was here. Link, oh, right, my ancestor. Yes, he was so brave and strong, a true hero. He saved not only Hyrule, but my kingdom as well, the world of Twilight. She frowned. Remembering the painful memories of her departure, she was unable to say those 3 words, before she shattered the mirror of Twilight for good. She opened her eyes when she felt someone hug her. It was Naruto. I saw this shared between family members, or for a person who needed comfort. You look like you needed comfort. She clutched his shirt tightly in her small hands. I loved Link, but it's centuries too late for him to know. /end /. She opened her eyes. Yes, she loved Link. She loved him dearly. But now, it was safe for her to move on. However, she still had that one fear, even if she was falling in love with Naruto, this relationship would not last, not forever. No, a tragic love story such as this would only end in heartbreak, when she will be, one day, forced to leave this world, yet again. The silent moments between hero and princess, and the Twilight Princess is interrupted by a loud splash. Naruto and Hinata blushed, as their teenaged hormones had almost made them cross that one barrier. Hinata fixed the shorts she wore, but whimpered a bit as his soft touches felt so good, and Naruto, he had to deal with that boner he got feeling the girl up. Midna noticed the light redness on their cheeks, but said nothing because they had to shield themselves from a surge of water that came down on them. That greeted them, was another one of those mutant seafood monsters. Only this one was wrapped in this weird seaweed-like coat of skin. It looked like a giant eel of all things, with lobster claws for its 4 tentacles that lined the wide bulldog-like jaw and an anglerfish head, with spiny fins lining down the head and down its entire length. Naruto had once read a report on Sarutobi's desk when he was little, about this man named Orochimaru who had fled the village when he was discovered experimenting on human and animal life. Seeing this mutant freak made him think of Orochimaru, if these were any of his experiences gone rouge. Then again, like that squid-like thing, it was one of those shadow creatures. Oh yeah, and did I forget to mention that this thing kept trying to knock him out of the air? Naruto was during his internal thoughts flying around with the double claw shots, latching onto the metal grating-covered ceiling. Midna clung to him, and she had a hold of Hinata with her ponytail, who was releasing the only fire technique she knew of. Proved an effective weakness, but this thing was tougher than the mutant jellyfish. Naruto got knocked down by what looked like a large blue snot ball-looking projectile, but he had quickly grappled another grate, and flew away from the thing before Hinata and he had landed on another floating table. The beast came at them however, good as time as any. He shifted through several hand signs, take this. Futon, Reizengufyu. He suddenly spun around and around, sword extended out as a whirlwind wrapped around him. He went flying towards the creature, and it screeches as the blade slices through several times of the surprisingly thick skin before the spin stopped and Naruto was sent falling. He however fires the claw shot and reeled himself to the ceiling, where he then made his way back to Hinata. Damn, still a bit dizzy. Naruto isn't really much of a wind user, which would explain the slight dizzy spell. Hinata shielded them from an electrical breath the enraged beast expelled with Hinata no AI. Just where is Samus Aran when you need her, eh? The trio knew that it had to be glaring at them, even though where the eyes would normally be, were instead spikes for eyeballs. The creature roared before it dove back into the water and vanished. They heard the screech of a metal door slowly opening behind them. Hinata-chan, you okay? Yeah, are you? You're not hurt, right? Naruto shook his head. I'm alright, Hinata-chan. They turned around to face the barely lit corridor. This time, Hinata decided to unseal her short iron sword she had. Naruto was armed with the Master Sword and the Konoha shield. Midna finally put her hidden weapon to use, taking off the horns of her helmet and snapped them to make the boomerang. They had no choice but to travel down this passage, waist deep in murky water. "I need a bath when we get out of this damn mess," Hinata suddenly said, causing Naruto to stare at her. She blushed a bit. "What? I can swear if I wish to. Please, never hide your true self, Hinaheim." She blushed even more, and Midna rolled her eyes. "Well, maybe I can teach her a few things." Midna then gained a wicked gleam in her eyes. In heaven, Link sneezed. Oh, something is disturbing the force. Midna before was a sassy girl, and if Hinata becomes the same. Thankfully, all things returned to normal when Naruto spoke up. "Good offer, but if her confidence is at my level, she can be a great fighter on her own." Midna pouts, but agreed. After all, she does bear the Triforce of wisdom, and a part of wisdom is confidence in oneself. Anyway, while Midna stayed well dry thanks to her magic, the two in waist-deep water had to traverse onward through the tunnel, at one point almost slipping into a hole that led right into the ocean itself. Kyuso! The door was thick, and would not budge. Kakashi and Kurenai were unable to get past the door, which the nameplate near it read Mess Hall, in katakana of course. Kyuso! It won't budge. Naruto and Hinata were trapped beyond this door, and yes, there could be other ways to get into the room. However, if those ways are flooded, then taking a dive into the water where it's possible there are no air pockets, that was just suicidal. We should call for backup. This has definitely become an S-rank mission, Kurenai told Kakashi. He growled. He may have failed, but there was no way in hell he would fail Minato. He knew that Naruto was Minato's son. Damn it, he was there when it happened. When Minato fallen after defeating the Kitsune, and all that was left of Minato was the flesh and blood that is his offspring. Don't worry, Naruto. I will not lose you. I may have failed to protect Sasuke, but I won't fail you, fail your father, my sensei. We'll leave and contact Anbu, and alert Lady Hokage. They left together, leaving behind the ship. Outside the storm had stopped, but the storm clouds were still lingering. The water was calm enough for them to get across, the Jounin of course helping the genin. They had no choice but to return to the village for backup. A pair of yellow eyes watched from the darkness, before those same eyes vanished. Meanwhile, inside the wrecked Valhalla, Naruto had pulled Hinata up onto a set of stairs. Thankfully they were now out of the water. Those damn fish kept biting at them, and each school they killed, a minute later another would appear out of nowhere to try and feed on them. Wherever they were, the staircase they climbed took them to the outside. Finally, some damn fresh air and light. About damn time, fresh air. Hinata smiled wearily, as she too was glad. Midna decided to cut it loose and stayed within Naruto's shadow where it was safer. However, things just went from bad to worse. The door behind them sealed shut. Naruto turned around and tried to open the door, but there was no handle on the outside. This apparently was one of those one-way exits, or the handle was broken off so no one could get back inside. From where they were, they ended up on the outdoor front deck just to the front of the airship. The floor itself may be in a slight slope, but it gave off the impression of a battlefield. A clap of thunder broke the silence, and brought a chill in the air, as a mist slowly began to cloud around. Kirigakure no Jutsu. Ha, so, the hero and the princess, we have you all to ourselves now. Stepping forth from the fog was Zugo. Zume. The two brothers held dark glares in their glowing eyes. Even with the fog, the thunder rumbled high above their heads, as the mist now just trailed along the ground with the coming of another rainstorm clearing the air. One brother closed his meaty hand tightly. There is no one who can save you now. You see, the outer armor of the airship is made with a chakra-resistant metal, so shinobi can't use chakra to stick to the outside surface. Inside is a different story, so no one can save you both now. The storm began to grow once more, as the winds began to beat down upon all four combatants. Twilight, Kiritecho, Zugo and Zume. Time to die. The two brothers each went to their own target. Zugo attacked Naruto, and Zume attacked Hinata. Both prepped their swords and blocked the slashes from the long-pronged claws that made up the mecha gauntlets. They rolled into a backflip, before launching themselves at their enemy, not noticing that their marks glowed softly. Each brother combat against their chosen opponent in their own way. Hinata's enemy went in for speed purposes, while Naruto's opponent used the strength method. Come here! Zume shouts, releasing a hookshot, which came from his uncovered hand. The chain wasn't chain, but was that bone material? The spike at the end almost pierced her in the chest, had she not simply gone Matrix by bending back and letting it sail inches past her face. She got a good look at her opponent, and Naruto noticed the same thing when Zugo released his hookshot attack. Their arms became skinny, as if being pulled through a tiny tube or something. But when the bony hookshot retracted back into their hand, where there was an odd-looking pair of lips with fanged teeth in the palm, the arm reverted back to normal. Before they could think of something, they were once again pushed back into the defensive. Screw this! Naruto dodged, and threw a senbon into his opponent's right eye. This caused enough of a painful distraction for him to switch out for the chakra grapple in his left hand, and in his right hand, he unfurls Kagura. He grapples Hinata and reels her right into his arm, holding her closely while jumping back. Once landing, he swung his fan, releasing several cutters that bombarded them. They weren't as effective as the Kinzakutan-type jutsu, but it was useful. Suetun, Suryuden no Jutsu. They launched the water dragons at the couple, but Hinata took a page out of her cousin's books, and just did then without even thinking. Hinata no Kaiten. She spun as Naruto dropped to avoid getting hit, expelling the force behind the technique. The dragons were sent flying elsewhere where they crashed back into their attackers. Dropping the protective aura shield, Naruto held the fan in a near-feminine pose. Fujin no Mai, Dance of the Blade. He released a storm of cutters this time around. Both blocked and fired their bony hook shots again, but Naruto this time spun his chakra grapple, lassoing the two spine-looking chains. He gives a forced tug, reeling them towards him before dropping flat to the ground. Hinata at this time swings her sword, and cuts into them both, spilling blood. Naruto flips back up to his feet and dragging out the sword while the fan is caught by Hinata, swings, slashing them as well. The whip at this time releases the spines, and the bone was reeled back into their mutated arms. Both are sent back, but then get up once again. This time, they focus on Naruto, who counters with Gokumonkin. They jump back again, as this time another interruption comes in the form of that serpentine-looking creature with the spike eyes. Both brothers let off dark auras, as thunder roared in the skies followed after the dangerous flash of lightning. The creature roars at them, seemingly stirring up the wind itself. Naruto and Hinata regroup as far as they could from their potential enemies. Both brothers jump onto the creature from the sea, and they begin to fuse into the thing, their bodies absorbed halfway from those thick spikes the monster calls eyes. Twilight Omikeju, Gome. With the brothers now fused by the waistline where the spike eyes once were, this creature roars and fires a ball of electricity at them. He shoves Hinata to the side and shields himself with the Konoha shield. The creature roars, as Zugo's body seemed to now animate as if on strings, and slashed his claws, releasing a claw-shaped energy wave. Naruto backflips as it creates its mark in the metal floor. Damn, he muttered. Naruto! Look out! Midna calls, just as Naruto was struck in the side by Zume's bone hookshot. Naruto cursed as he backed away, and the creature lunged, trying to snap its jaws at him. He was out of its distance however, but before it reeled back, it expelled another sphere of thunder, one blocked by Hinata's Hinata no Ai. Thanks, Hinaheim, he says with a smile, pained however due to the injury he just suffered from. I don't have many jutsus to use from, but we need to survive. Hi! Both faced off their enemy. The sea creature roars and lifting its fish-like head back, exhales what looked like goops of snot. The balls of snot landed in haphazard formations, before the hatched, and out come small tadpole-looking fish. In fact, they were the piranha that kept nipping at them, but now they had land legs. Slithering like lizards, their razor teeth wanted their flesh, but Hinata simply used Hinata no Hai, though a bit weakened form the rain. It did its job however burning to death the offspring it coughed up. Naruto then got a crazy idea. When it lunged at him when he got close once more, this time he uses the chakra grapple, and lassoed the angel bulb-like appendage. The chakra fused with the glowing bulb coming from the antenna, and the creature screeched as he was reeled back, and sent flying. He kept a good grip until he was not on the creature's back. He rushed up, having released his hold, and prepared his sword. Hazakakinen, Naruto though, piercing Zugo in the back, out the chest, and then with enough chakra channeled, rips the blade up, through the right shoulder. He spun, cutting the head off. The sea creature seemed to screech in pain, and Zume grappled Naruto with the bone hook shot and flung him away. Naruto caught the railing before he could fall into the ocean below, and reeled himself up and over. The thing was mad, as Zugo's corpse remained there, spilling blood. Zume, having lost a brother in arms, screamed as the aura returned. This time, it had a red tint to it as his hands trailed through 36 hand signs. Suetun, Cryogenicusu, water release, cryogenics. A tsunami formed behind the sea monster, as Zume's insane laugh reached them, before the deafening flow of the icy water, frothed with snow of all things, washed over the wrecked Valhalla. Naruto had the smarts to use one of the claw shots to hang onto the railing, and gripped Hinata as tight as possible, her gripping his waist. It was their only saving grace from a watery grave. The icy Suetun jutsu however had chilled them down, and they were shivering. Perfect setting, due to the storm, for hypothermia to set in. Midna formed before the two shivering teenagers, and she cried out as she willed her magic, calling forth the Twilight magic and strikes down Zume, her hair having lengthened to the point of spears. One impales him in the heart, neck, and the brain. The magic that coated her hair had burned away any liquid caught as her hair receded back. Naruto-kun! Hinata! Get up now! She yelled, as the sea monster, with both its fused occupants dead, roared with anger, and lunges at her. Her hair takes on its hand shape again, and she grabs it. She grunted, holding it in place, long enough for a somewhat exhausted Naruto to initiate a strike. He sliced the antennae, making a cut in the stalk. Then, switching for the Kubikiri Hocho, spun around before slamming the blade down. Morigari no Kanketsusen. A force of chakra rushed upward like a geyser, cracking the skull. Naruto was jolted of as Midna lost her grip. The thing reeled back, and then attempts a dive at them. It is impaled by the giant sword, and grabbed around its neck by Midna, who applied a crushing force. The thing cried out with the last bit of life force it held, before slumping free. The sword yanked formed the head as it went over the edge, creating a large spray of water. The thing exploded into ash, and miscellaneous life forms of seafood and mutilated fish guts and whatnot. It was like pureed soup, almost, and flying into the air, and hitting Naruto in the head were the two gauntlets the brothers once wore. Ow! He collapsed onto his back, seeing some stars from the hard hit by metal to skull. He didn't pass out, but he was damn close to. Naruto-kun, Hinata grunted, as she moved up to the boy, and held onto him, helping him sit upright. Midna floated over, as the storm clouds started to go away. In the distance was the setting sun, finally revealed. The skies were painted with the colors of light fading to darkness. You okay? Yeah, head hurts though. Midna grabs the gauntlets with her hair, and looks at it. These things flew from that sea monster we just killed, and we had also defeated Zume and Zugo. Naruto smiled a bit, as he gathered his weapons, and sealed them away again. He didn't have a spare scroll for the new item he acquired. Naruto obtains the mole gauntlets. Originally Kiri-based weapons tipped with poison, these things now morphed into a different form could be used to burrow out of traps or through soft clays and earth. Midna floated a bit away, and then created a portal. Let's get out of here, we still need to find your teammates and your senseis. True. Naruto got up, using the Master Sword as a crutch. Hinata wrapped her arms around Naruto as the two stepped onto the portal formed in the ground. Midna vanished, and they too disappeared into pixels of twilight. The portal took them to the beachside, as they turned around, and watched as the Valhalla was lost to the sea, sinking into the murky depths. Oh no! I hope they made it out. Hinata used her Byakugan, and looked at the slowly sinking depths. Other than wildlife, no immediate chakra signatures detected. Hey, I found something. Over at a tree, where Midna was at, was a kanji for mission backup. They had escaped, and had gone back to the village for backup. So, they left, thinking we were in trouble. We should head back to the village though. They heard a snort, and saw Epona standing a bit aways, under an apple tree. Apparently, she did not leave for home, but merely stuck around the area. Naruto knew she was a smart horse, at least they didn't have to walk away. He plucked one of the wild apples, and fed it to her. We need to get there quickly. It may be a long trek, but we can make it. Hinata was hefted up, sitting before Naruto, as he took the reins, and snaps at them. Epona whinnies and gallops away, Midna following fast after them. Chapter 16. Night had fallen, and the night was a bit cool, and of course, Their clothes were wet from the storm they braved through while fighting, literally, for their lives against the boss of the wrecked Valhalla. They had built a small campfire, out of the way of the often-traveled path. Although both teens were blushing, they had stripped off their wet clothes, and hung them on branches to get them to dry. Naruto had forgotten to pack the scroll containing extra clothes, so, yes, they were stuck this way. As for Hinata, her pack containing her own supplies was sealed into a scroll which Kurenai-sensei held. There was only one sleeping bag, but it was big enough for 2 people. Midna wanted to sleep with Naruto, but had to sleep on the back saddle of Eppona's seat. The horse itself was in a sitting position, getting rest herself. With the fire crackling merrily, the 2 blushing teens kept warm by sleeping together. No, nothing happened here, except Naruto kept his arms around her, but nowhere close to her assets, or below the waistline. And she just closed her eyes, curled up in his embrace. This was somewhat of a romantic scene, 2 young teenagers, possibly in love. Oh yes, such a sweet scene, if you ignore their state of dress under the covers. Then again, this could be out of some romance novel, not Ika Ika of course. If only Naruto could hold me like that, Midna thought, as the 2 tens somehow easily fallen asleep. She began thinking up such naughty thoughts her cheeks bloomed into a full blush, and she squirmed a bit just thinking about the actions it could lead to. The morning came, and the clothes had dried out. A simple Hinata no Hai helped make it warm. Once dressed, the fire put out, and everything packed, the trio continued on their trek back to the village. Midna sat on Naruto's shoulders, while Hinata sat in front of him, his arms around her grasping the reins. He kept his thoughts clean, as he didn't want to get another one, not after the dream he had last night involving the girls in his life. He really needed to get more of an output in life other than his dirty manga books. It would be a day from now they were at the border between Cha and Hai that Kakashi, Kurenai, Anko, Guy, Asuma, and several other ANBU had left the village to find Naruto and Hinata. Instead, upon reaching the border, they were greeted by the sight of a calm Naruto riding Epona, and Hinata was asleep, leaning against him, and he held a good grip on her so she would not fall off the horse. Naruto took his short time to look at the group of 10 ANBU led by Nico, his sensei, Hinata-sensei, the crazy snake woman who held a love for Dango, Puff Daddy Sarutobi, as he called Asuma due to his habit of smoking, and super fuzzy eyebrows. Kakashi-sensei, Anko-chan, Kurenai-sensei, Guy-sensei. He looks at Asuma and smirks, Puff Daddy. Stop calling me that. The man growled, as he puffs on his lit cigarette. Anko however was cracking up. P-Puff Daddy? That sounds like a pimp name. He continued riding past them at a decent pace, and Kakashi was the first to turn around and follow. How did you escape, and what happened? Snickers from Anko are still heard. Went back to that port in Cha, bought an extra scroll to seal my newly acquired mole gauntlets from the Zoo brothers. We killed them, the creature they controlled, and escaped before the Valhalla sunk to the sea. Kakashi wanted to ask him about the Twilight Princess, but Naruto simply gazed down at his own shadow before returning to the scenery. Midna may be known, but not by the majority. Anko didn't even know about the Chibi Imp until she discovered Midna. He remembered how long it took to clear some things. At her current state, her cursed state, if he remembered correctly, the masses would think of her as some sort of demon. He stayed quiet and returned to reading his book. So much for a rescue mission. He kept forgetting that Naruto was much like his sensei, unpredictable. Naruto certainly was the most unpredictable ninja. Speaking of Naruto, he shifted a bit so Hinata Cloud lay against him in a better position. A soft smile crept up to his face, before he lets go of the reins. Kakashi watches him as the boy took out his Ninpod, earphones, and turns it on while applying the earphones, before returning focus to the road ahead. Behind them, the others also followed while ANBU, for once, just walked at the leisure pace. No one said much. The sun was setting, and they were about 2 days away if they kept up at this pace. However, this path that Naruto was taking led them to a home. The house was built out of the large tree itself, with some fences laid about the property, but not enclosing it. Sitting there on a smaller tree stump, with a couch recliner back bolted to the wood, was a young man with his hair styled as an afro, wearing blue jeans, belted boots, a white fishnet t-shirt, and a Marty bead necklace. Hey guy, says the man, when Naruto pulls the reins, halting Epona. Yo, Naruto replied, as Hinata shifted a bit, and yawned cutely. Are we home? She mumbles. No. Say, where are we, sir? Oh, the guy blinked, then smiled kindly. This is my home. My name is Kikoru. It may sound silly, but as you know, people who use lanterns to travel at night often run out of lantern fuel. I make and sell fuel. Really? Yeah. I can create good enough fuel for people to burn in their lanterns, but my cooking when it comes to food is, well, let's just say I mostly go to villages nearby to eat out. Sandwiches, on the other hand, are basically the only thing I can make. Say guy, if you are going to continue through the forest up ahead, you should be careful. It gets very dark around this time of the day. Oh, but we don't have a lantern to use. Kikoru smiled, as he reached into his storage that was a very large trunk, and pulled out one of those camping lanterns that most civilians would have. Here. The second portion of my little home business is selling lanterns to those who don't have any. With fuel, the lantern will cost 300 ryo. Naruto grabs his wallet and fishes out 3 100 bills, just as Kikoru finished filling its storage tank, and accepts the cash and hands Naruto the lantern. Naruto obtains a lantern. This is one of the classic bought models of lanterns from various stores in villages around the world. Say, guy, can you also deliver this letter to my sister? She owns a fishing shack at some lake that is near the location of a shinobi village. Sure thing, Naruto replied, and accepts a letter. Thanks. Her name is Hina. Be careful now. Naruto smiled and gently snapped at the reins, and Epona snorted as she trots off again, this time continuing on the path that led to the forest ahead. The Jounin and Anbu follow right behind, and Hinata, now awake, was holding the lantern. When are we going to be there? I would guess 2 days or so. You did sleep half the day away. Looked rather cute. She blushed a bit. Homicide victims rarely talk to police. What? Kin peers over Naruto's shoulder, clad in just a pair of biker shorts, a sports bra, and the stereo system was on, listening to random songs, currently playing Itazura na Kiss by Day After Tomorrow. Naruto himself wore a simple pair of shorts, fishnet t-shirt, and that was it. It was really hot today. In fact, it's been only 2 weeks since the Valhalla incident, and this heat wave had come through the country. And at times like this when it's too damn hot to do much, and ANBU start to hate their job due to the rules of wearing their outfits, even in the coldest and hottest of weather, mask included. Naruto would be found reading the newspaper. Beforehand, he had delivered the letter to Hina, who appeared to be only 2 years older than him, and had done a little fishing at her lake. If it wasn't for the heat wave, and the humidity, he would brave going fishing. Midna at times would bother him, but she too is trying to stay cool. Floating in a small pool on an inflated ring with a tent roof pitched over the pool in the backyard. It's mentioned in the newspaper. You see, I'm trying to find some odd or funny things. I do that from time to time. She shrugged, and found a chair to scoot next to Naruto. When Naruto looked at her, he blushed a bit at how sexy she looked. His hand went for the wanted ads, which he grabbed to avoid staring at her chest, and blinked at finding something. It was one of those menus, from that new grill house that opened up in the village 3 days ago. Kin-chan, look at this. She leans close, skin touching skin, at the menu. Naruto, with a yellow highlighter, highlights one of the choices on open grill. 8 ounces. Dork strip steak. She sniggered a bit. Typo. Dork strip steak. Naruto had a bit of a grin on his face. Oh, this is funny. What is it, Kin-chan? Look, Naruto-kun. She shows what she found, and he reads it aloud. Disorderly person, West Block of Kimogakure no Sato. Someone reported that a duck was in a children's playground of the local civilian school, drinking beer and yelling at people. 2:17 p.m. Friday. Naruto cracked up laughing. A duck? Drinking beer and yelling at people? Must have been an animal summon. Snickering, she managed to speak. Is there such a summoning contract? Naruto smirked. A drunken duck in the school playground. Why do I suddenly have the urge to yell out Aflac? Naruto thought, then mentally shrugged. Look at this, for sale. Very old pictures of, oh my Kami. Kin looked at Naruto, then at the want ad he read, and blinked twice. For sale. Very old pictures of Lady Tsunade, hot and sexy before she became old. 7,000 ryo. That guy is going to get killed. I mean, who would want this? Cut to Jiraiya traveling to Otafukagai with the ryo in hand. Naruto, don't say that. Someone may want to. Yeah, you're right. Oh, hey, someone made a typo in the store coupon ads. Gurney's roasted oil salted in the shell penis? A snicker escaped her lips, and a smile formed. Funny, yet so wrong, Naruto cracked, as he grabs another section of the newspaper, and looks at other headlines from other villages and countries. He then sighed, okay, now what kind of moron would okay this? Kin looks at what Naruto showed her. It was a headline stating that Children's Center gets okay for beer and wine license. Which Children's Center and in what village, you say? Iwagakure no Sato. Then his luck was something in the wanted ads. Ha! Tucci's trying to sell something. For sale, Asprella. 5 Rio. Asprella? Naruto smirked. Yeah, funny, it's an umbrella with a giant ass on it. Kin gained an evil grin. Do I wish to know where the handle goes? Naruto laughed. He stopped when he felt Kin shift herself onto his lap, facing him. He began to blush a bit, but she leaned close and kissed him. However great the kiss was, it was a simple short kiss, as she winked and got off him, and headed to the kitchen. And Naruto, he just sat there, and groaned to himself, as his hand shot down to adjust to that growing erection he gained. Damn teenaged hormones, he thought, with the girls that I got living with me, damn you Kami and the goddess watching. Somewhere in a world of its own, for young beautiful, immortal women all shared smiles. As Naruto headed off somewhere to get rid of this problem, he never noticed on the papers someone tried to use the Mel Gibson defense in Sunnyvale City Supreme Court of Justice last week. And if someone read this, he or she would question who Mel Gibson was. Hinata wasn't here because her team had a mission to do. Tenten gone on a mission as well with her team. Temari didn't feel much, since she was a desert dweller, and was used to the heat. She just walked around with less clothing, but enough to stay within the range of legality. So, the only ones at Naruto's apartment was Kin and Midna. And Kin was looking for Naruto. When she peeks into the room through the door was the left just a crack open, she then quickly looked away, face flushed red at what she saw. Thankfully, when the sun had gone down to allow the stars to twinkle innocently in the skies is when the worst of the heat had significantly cooled. Still, that did not excuse the humidity. Even with cooling units installed in just about every occupied bedroom, and in the living room, the occupants who lived in the apartment wear as little clothes as possible. Damn heat wave. When the day came that pretty much all of the rookies were in the village, sans Sasuke since he's still bed shagging with Orochimaru, that's a disturbing image, Naruto, on this comfortable day, suddenly declared that he wanted to see what Kakashi looked like under the mask he wore. Needless to say, he got odd looks from the other teenagers. Naruto, who wore his green tunic outfit, and was also armed with the sword and shield, he doesn't go anywhere with them, followed after Kakashi quietly as he minded his own business, giggling once in a while reading his 9-cent smut. He had known that it was Jiraiya, the man who taught him the Rasengan that wrote that smut. He thought it was cheaper than 25 cents. Sure, the story is great, but it could do without much of the smut. Although he can't lie about having read some adult manga, pervert. Anyway, Naruto ducked behind a building as Kakashi stopped to look around, and then continued on his way. Up on the roof, Hinata and Kin followed, keeping well hidden. Kakashi suddenly vanished in a poof of smoke, and Naruto flinched, retreating away, as if he was discovered. The girls also did the same thing. They tried again the next day, this time having a team lunch. Since Kin was Sasuke's replacement, she was a part of Team 7. The one place they went to was Ichiraka Ramen. You should really get your ear pierced. Ha! Wouldn't I look? I dunno, odd? Well, if you had pointy ears, you'd look odd. Trust me, you'd look good with one. I even know which one you can get. While he was busy, certain distractions suddenly came up, and everybody missed Kakashi eating his bowl of ramen quick enough, and without removing his mask. Just how the hell is that possible? The next time they tried to unmask him, they just outright attacked him, using jutsus that could immobilize the jounin, but not cause physical harm. What really helped was that Kakashi did not expect Naruto to use the claw shot to snatch his smut, and while he tore at him ready to get his precious back, trips him with the chakra grapple. Afterward, they dog-piled him, removed his mask, and were blown back by a gust of wind as Kakashi retrieved his book, and with another mask that had been under the first, smiled coyly. If you wanted a mask, just go to the store. They always sell in bulk. He uses the Shunshin Jutsu to get away. Oh well, so much for that. They didn't try it again on the third day of trying to unmask the man. Most had long since given up, the last being Naruto when Kakashi had toppled him again, despite having dragged in the Konohamaru Corporation into the mess of unmasking Hatake Kakashi. On this particular day, Naruto was involved in a mission. The only ones able to go were Shikamaru and Ino. And due to where they were going, bringing Epona was not a big deal. In fact, she was going to come into later use once they escaped. You see, there was this young lad who had gotten sick, and unable to see a good doctor. Their only chance would be to go to Konoha, to see Tsunade, who could help cure the child of this illness he has contracted. The problem was that the village they snuck into was riddled with mob men, remnants of Gato. Shikamaru was the Chunin of the group, with Naruto and Ino being genin still. Shikamaru thought that in order for Naruto to look like he wasn't part of their group, he had worn a regular hat, one that did not have his headband plate stitched to it. The person who risked getting this mission details sent to the village was from the child's sister named Tulla. Yes, an odd name, but the violet-eyed girl wishes for her brother Agito to get well again, because she loved him, as in more than platonic. They were orphaned because their parents who tried to fight back against the invaders were killed. The village was about a 3-mile distance from Konohagakure to the westerly direction. Needless to say, the one person who had once been Gata's trusted man had taken over his company and all of his riches after his death. Naruto looked around. Even if Shikamaru, though it was stupid, Naruto had gone off to find the headquarters. With the items he's got, he could make a formidable opponent, especially with his Kage Bunshin Jutsu. Once the village was freed from this stronghold of Gata's remnants, they can then get the sick boy to Konoha. Time to fight, Naruto thought as he pulls out several Senbon, then launches 3 at the 3 necks of incompetent guards. Chapter 17. This towering hulk of durable stone had a dwarfed head with glowing green eyes. Several tribal markings lined around the body, arms, and legs. Crafted kilts wrap around the waist, and embedded in its chest was a green rupee-shaped gemstone. From it were several bisected lines going down the stomach and over the shoulders to the lower back area, connected to several of the tribe markings. The arms and hands were large enough that one hand had slapped Naruto away with the force of Gai's punch with one gate of the Hashiman released. Either way, that really friggin' hurt. You may be wondering what the heck is going on, right? Well, it all starts with a mission to a village, to save a possibly dying boy after a mission request was made. Also, this mission was close to a B-rank mission due to Gata's remaining men who had taken over the village with their new leader. So, what does this golem have to do with the mission? Well, it has to do with the fact that when Naruto began his assault, this statue was one of those stone puppets, built as defense around the enemy stronghold, which was a mansion that once was an inn. Damn it, Naruto cursed, as he got back up, and this time dodged the powerful hand slap. He had put away the master sword, only to unseal Kabikiri Hocho. He jumped again as it tries another slap, and he swung, striking it in the chest. A shattering of glass is heard. Naruto realized he had broken the crystal in the chest, and had in essential, taken away its power source. With no power, the golem puppet shuts down, and remains a statue. Naruto! Naruto turned around, as Shikamaru and Ino came up to him, Ino slapping him across the face, with an angry expression on her face. What the heck is wrong with you? Attacking the enemy force without us behind you? Sorry, but I had taken out the outer defenses. Except now they know we're coming, Naruto. Naruto growled a bit. I called for some backup. They're sending Team 8 to assist us. How come Chuji wasn't able to come with us again? Something involving his clan, and it was important business, Shikamaru says, looking at the towering puppet statue that Naruto disabled permanently. Now, Naruto, we have to be careful from here on out. I understand. Hey, I'm still getting used to the hero business after all, or maybe you had forgotten what had happened to me all those months ago? What Naruto was referring is him being captured during his time of mourning for the sick girl who before she had died, called him father. Ino and Shikamaru gained guilty looks. The subject on Naruto's adopted daughter was still a very sore subject. It was after he had managed to get his head into gear that Naruto now fought to protect his precious people, even if it killed him. Naruto puts the sword away, and unseals the double claw shots. He fires one of the claw shots towards a catwalk of the mansion, and reels himself up before throwing himself onto it, and sprinted off, leaving Ino and Shikamaru to go along the ground. Byoko, sir! Those brats got into the mansion! Yelled one of the men. Kill them! Activate the Armos puppets! Hi, Shohan-sama! Oh, and Grunt! The Grunt turned around, and suddenly held fear in his eyes at the sinister smile his leader gained. Release the IWA meme that our guest handed to us. The man nodded and left the room. Memories of an armored knight with the decor of lightning, appearing before their leader, and offering him the power needed to take his empire beyond the realm Gato once held. Accepting the deal, they were given a former IWA ninja, who was executed for abandoning the plan of killing the Leaf's beloved fourth Hokage during the war. When found, he was brutally killed, and left to rot. Apparently his body was found by the armor man's master all those years and revitalized, only now the dead IWA nin was now just like that freak who called himself Kumo. All he cared for was money, drugs, and sex. As he reached the basement cell, he shakily unlocked the shackles to the doors when he heard a soft growling-like noise. Haunting screams spewed from his mouth, though no one from outside could hear because the guy was silenced almost after he had screamed, by a giant stone hand. They will still need to capture Shikaku, Nibi, Achibi, and the others. We have made good fortune finding the others, poor pitiful fools. If only they knew, he thought with an evil grin concealed by his orange spiral mask. Toby, stop daydreaming and let's go. Toby ate his stick of dango, somehow without removing the mask. Deidara wondered how he did that, watching the young man skip off on their assignment given to them. Why am I stuck with him again? These things came like a swarm, and Naruto would dispatch 2, only to have more pop out. These Armos puppets were made of animated wood, fused with its own chakra source, and for armor, a fusion of stone with metal weaponry, which would be spears and shields. Naruto! Naruto dodged a spear that had nearly got him in the back. He retaliates with another needle bomb. As with his 2 other teammates, he knew they would do fine on their own, especially if the backup that Shikamaru requested earlier before he charged head-in were already here. Be careful, damn it! Naruto grunted as he had leapt back at a high jump, and landed, before rolling to the side, holding up some kunai, and throwing them. The 2 thugs that came rushing at him were taken out. Naruto rushed across the field, dodging spears before he got to the doors, dived through, and slammed it shut, and locking it using what looked like an old locking system, would log over hooks. Other than banging from the Armos puppets, they wouldn't get through, yet. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned around. The creature that took shape before Naruto's own eyes, let's just say there's glowing yellow eyes, a wretched mouth with stone fangs jutting out like a vampire, and the mass of the head is made of stone. It looked almost like a giant tree trunk, but it's made of stone, broken or otherwise, and it was roaring at him. Ah hell! Thugs left and right were falling from the dual attack of Kiba and a transformed Akamaru, as bugs released by Shino were draining them of what chakra the few thugs possessed. Hinata was using her clan's signature Juken, yet also implementing her Triforce techniques into her offense and defense. Shikamaru and Ino worked hand in hand, her with her family jutsu, and Shikamaru shielding her. All of a sudden, a shower of bolts came rushing across the field. Any unfortunate thug that was caught ended up dead. All others panicked and ran out of town, especially after a few townspeople armed themselves with torches and pitchforks, and whatever items they would use as weapons. Another bolt of lightning, and Kumo emerged, smiling evilly though the smile was not seen. We still have not finished out little duel, princess. He drew his sword. He threw his hand, and generated a barrier of electricity. Any of Shino's bugs that were in the air were zapped to death. Also, Hinata was cut off from help, it was just her and Kumo. Draw your sword. She did so, and held it in a stance that she saw Naruto use. Kumo chuckled, and came at her. She dodged to the right and blocked the next strike. However, she was sent flying back some inches from the force. She nearly lost her sword as well, but held a firm grip on the weapon. She had been watching Naruto train in the use of his sword, and she wanted to at least know how to wield such a weapon. A straight edge was a bit heavier as compared to a katana, as proven by the sword Kumo wielded, and also his sword was much bigger than hers. She could only defend too much until his stamina won over hers. So, she tapped into her own inner power. Hinata no Hai. She spun, and expelled the fire from the blade itself, lashing over Kumo's helmet-protected face. The heat stung at his eyes, causing a cry to be released. She suddenly lunged in, with another clone she produced. What a surprise to the others, this clone was solid as both Hinata's released slash after slash at the immobilized Kumo. He roared, knocking them both with his arm, the clone dispersing. Kiba cursed, trying to get past the barrier but only ended up electrocuting himself briefly before the surge knocked him back. So the princess can use her power. How interesting. I wonder how your boyfriend will feel when I show him your head. Hinata actually snarled at him, and leapt towards him, blade poised. He blocked the downward chop, but jumped away when another clone came from behind. Hinata jumped back as well. Sure, she has good chakra sources, and excellent control, but using the Kage Bunshin was already taxing her limit. Two of those shadow clones is all you're good for? Might as well end it. She glared, as a light swirl of wind began to generate around her. Without realizing it, a spiraling whirlwind imbued with what looked like twinkling stars wrapped around her before vanishing. A similar wind emerged outside the barrier and Hinata dropped to her knees as her clone vanished in a puff of smoke. Kyumo was surprised the girl performed the technique, but then noticed the glow on her mark faded away. He sheathed his sword, leaping back as Kiba and Akamaru combined, using the jutsu to transform into a two-headed lupin beast. He decided to disappear. The ninja screamed as his body began to decompose. The magic that kept him alive was destroyed when Naruto, who was now out of explosives, destroyed the sphere of magic that shielded his heart. The explosion destroyed the heart, thus is the cause for his death. In his mind, this had to be the weakest guardian he had to face yet. The damn thing made me waste nearly all of my supplies, he grumbled. Midna, floating next to him, just smiled softly, offering him a pat on the shoulder. At least you're alive. Chased kiss on the kiss, and a giggle, before the doors explode, forcing her to retreat back into his shadow. In came the Armos Knights. Damn, forgot about those things. And they poured through the door. Naruto escaped using the back door, right into the mansion itself. And they kept following, until he leapt across the pool in the center yard, using the chakra grapple to swing across using crude candle torches. From there, he swung over a wall, and was now outside the mansion courtyards just in time to see what he pegged as the leader escaping on a horse in the distance. Naruto! Naruto turned around, and saw Kurenai holding Hinata. His eyes widened in fear. What happened to her? She's okay, she passed out using a futon jutsu. What happened? He edged. We were attacked, but she drove of the attacker. She just needs rest. Naruto roughly grabbed Hinata from the woman's arms and held her close, as his eyes take on sadness. He carried her off back into the village. Naruto! Wait, what about that? Escaped. It was 3 hours since Hinata had awakened, and everyone was ready to leave. It was dangerous to leave at night, but they couldn't spare another day for Agito. Tola snapped at the reins, and the horse whinnies as it gallops off at a steady pace away from the freed village. In the back of the carriage was Agito. With the backup that had arrived in the form of teammate, Shikamaru, Ino, Shino, Kiba with Akamaru huddled in the back. Up front next to Tola was Kurenai. Riding on the back of Epona was Hinata, whom the two teenagers were following, staying near the carriage as protection. Their protection would be needed, because about half a mile down the path, it took them to this bridge that spanned across the deep crevice. Hold it! Naruto called out, halting Epona. Tola stops the carriage as well, causing the others in the back to fall over, Ino almost crushing the resting sick boy. What the heck is going on out there? Kiba yelled. Company, Naruto stated. Midna, in her shadow form, hovered next to Naruto. Across the bridge, was who Naruto pegged the leader along with the thugs that were chased from the town. He had a spear with a sharpened lariat blade at the end. He was also riding a horse. Hold on tight, Hinata-chan. Naruto called, as he snaps on the reins. Epona whinnied, before sprinting forward. The man cackled and sprinted towards his direction as well in a joust. Everyone from the carriage was looking out, watching. As Naruto and the man, Byoko, got closer and closer, Naruto suddenly smirked and threw his last senbon, lodging it in his right eye. The man screamed as he had dropped his weapon, and Naruto rushed in. Hinata, with determination etched on her face, drew her own sword, and sliced Byoko across the chest. Because of the style of the bridge, he had fallen off his horse, and over the side of the bridge with the small barrier. That guy can be considered Kia, though I wouldn't be sure that the danger is gone if what you told me is true. Hinata nodded softly, and Naruto was looking into her lavender eyes. He had no more bombs, and his senbon pack was empty as well. All he had was his kunai he rarely used. Maybe I should go look into buying some explosive tags as well, he thought. Let's see, inventory pack on left hip, which next to it going towards the back was his empty Nino MB pack. He had his kunai pack positioned just to the right of his hip, and next to it over his right buttock was his empty senbon pack. If he was going to get some explosive tags, he'd have the pack positioned on the right, he'd have to make some room on his belt. Naruto then looked to his left as the carriage stops next to him and Hinata. "Naruto, can you protect us?" Tola asks in a sincere voice. Naruto nodded. She smiled softly, before urging her horse to continue on, and Naruto followed once swinging Hinata around so she sat in front of him. As they traveled down the path that would take them towards the direction of Konoha, Naruto heard the faint sounds of horses behind them. Looking back, he saw several thugs wielding swords, and few that were now firing arrows at them, lit of course. Incoming bandits! Naruto yelled to the carriage, "Keep going to Konoha and don't stop, Naruto! Naruto, wait!" Kurina yelled, but Naruto had turned Epona around and was now actively engaging the bandit thugs. While Naruto gave Hinata a crash course in riding Epona, Naruto had the sword out, and was attacking them head-on while she tried to keep her concentration on Epona. Just then they heard the caw of some birds. Midna recognized them when she peeked out from Naruto's shadow. Kargaroks. And they had bombs in their talons. "Hinata! Back to the carriage, quick!" He had lodged a kunai at one of the thug's arm, and he fell off his horse, as she snapped the reins. Epona whinnied, and she gallops away from the fight, after their friends. He took out Kagura, and unfolds it. As she galloped closer, Naruto with Midna telling him to take those birds out quick swung the battle fan. He released cutters, and killed 2 out of the 4. The other 2 spread out, and one flung its bomb at them. He blocked it with a cutter, however the explosion nearly spooked Epona. Hinata tried to keep balance, but Naruto held her close. "Hurry sweetie," he said. She blushed a bit. Meanwhile, back with the carriage in the distance, Kurenai was flinging kunai after kunai at the riders that came out of the woodwork and were trying to take them out. Ino, when she had thrown her last kunai, nailing one guy who jumped in the crotch, she looked in the distance hearing Epona's call. "Naruto!" Naruto, seeing the carriage under attack, had Hinata quicken their pace as he drew the master sword. As they drew close he slashed the first thug, and he fell off his horse as it rode off wildly away off path. He did the same to the other thugs before they breached the clearing. Up ahead this short clearing was another pocket of trees, but this was the familiar sort of trees, as beyond it was Konoha. More cuz came as Naruto looked to see more of those birds that Midna was frantic about. Following were several black crows. The same kind that attacked him and Midna on that one trip to Nami and back, and of course with only kunai, he couldn't waste his aim. He flung one kunai at a bird that came too close, and killed it, as its bomb was dropped from its dead talons. Naruto caught it and flung it behind him, not knowing he was chased by 2 thugs on horses. The explosion scared the horses and threw the thugs off. More kunai was thrown until they made it in the safety of the trees, but the crows continued their flight after them. Since they were smaller than the Kargaroks, they can still give chase. Naruto cursed, and managed to swing Hinata behind him, taking control of the reins with his left hand. "Take those birds out somehow, Hinata." She turned around as best as she could, and threw 4 kunai each wrapped with an explosive taglet. They explode upon reaching the cloud of crows, sending bird remains and feathers flying. In the end, they managed to make it to the village, riding around to the gates. Kurenai made a note sent to Anbu to contact Lady Hokage so she could be needed at the hospital. The mission ended fairly well. Kyumo looked at the leader at the bottom of the river when the injured man crawled onto shore, quite a distance away from the bridge. "You failed," he said, and took back the power that granted him the use of the Armos and the Kargaroks. The man groaned weakly, before he was silenced by Kyumo's lightning blade. That's it for part 4. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.